Then you give it a wink when we should start. I don't know.
Huh?
When we should start, you'll have to give the wink.
Start what?
Well, we'll get a start for Farbrengen.
Oh,
So we can just sit and we can sit and fill our tummies for the rest of the time. I say we can just sit and pack food away for the. That's not why we came.
You want people to stop eating?
So you got to give the okay, when we start.
All right. Farbrengen is officially starting.
Huh?
Rabbi, the food is
Yeah,
for my
I
Yitzhahara.
know. Of here's, here's cool.
Rabbi, the food is for my Yitzhahara and my Teves. Listen,
Yeah. I didn't mean that you shouldn't eat. I didn't.
but I won't eat ever again.
That's all I mean.
Possible to wash.
Yeah?
Possible to wash.
Maybe because of delivery.
He can wash. I'm pretty sure. Can he wash?
Yeah. Dude.
He can wash. So, what I wanted to introduce that the idea of Teves and the whole Simcha and Nitzochim of Teves is two inyonim. That's the Simcha and the Nitzochim of the Sfarim. Over to Simcha and Nitzochim of the Rebbe. And Yishlema that the Nakuda Klaliyat and the Nakuda Atzmiyas of the whole Yontur and the whole Simcha of Teves is the concept of the Rebbe, the concept of a Rebbe. A Pirush Adova, the whole basic taina that the Rebbe presented to the courts in America was that a Rebbe is a neshama kloliyat, or even kazer, that he doesn't have anything, nothing of his is private. If a male since it's not private, it doesn't really belong to anybody except all those who were part of him. And that includes more or less everybody. That includes more or less Kol Klal Yisrael. It's not shaykh that any private individual should be able to claim that he's a descendant in the sense that he's got the right to take a certain part of the Rebbe's property more than another. And that doesn't mean that in Cain all of us have the right to just go in and take this for him. Basically, they do belong to the Rebbe, but they don't belong to him in a way that they're just his private rechush. They're under his, what you might call, guidance and roof for the whole Klal Yisrael. And that the whole inyan of the Rebbe is that he represents the whole Klal that is connected with him in particular, and through that the whole Klal Yisrael. And therefore it's not shaykh to taina that the Sfarim belong to anybody in particular. They belong to the Rebbe, but through that they belong, they're like the rechush, the property and the ownership of Allah Chassidim, and through the Chassidim, Klal Yisrael. Because the whole inyan of a Rebbe is the dogma of a melech. And that's what we see, that the inyan of the connection between the dogma of a melech and the dogma of a Rebbe in Lubavitch was tremendously detailed and in emphasis and hadkosha, much more than in other places where there are leaders and people who are like Rebbeim, we might call them, and others. But their relationship was also very intimate and very detailed with their followers. Well, it wasn't the inyan of a melech in the full sense. I think a Rebbe in Lubavitch Yeah, he was, and that's what we find in the Rambam. And the Rebbe brings it in the famous Sikha in Mem Ches. When I get to the Rebbe Rashab, and when I get to the whole Indian of the Hakroz of Chia Melech, the Melech is Leiv Kol HaKahal. As they bring the Rambam's got a Zaloshin in, not far from the beginning of Hilchos Malachim and Milcham Isaiah. The Rambam says the Melech is Leiv Kol HaKahal. He's the heart of the whole Kahal. And so in that Sikha in Mem Ches, the Rebbe pointed out that what's the mile of saying that he's the heart of the whole congregation? The head is higher. Yeah, the head, the Rosh, is more general and more in charge of the whole system of a mensch than what his heart is. However, the Rebbe said it's emes that the Rosh has got certain miles when I get to elevation and generality connected with it. But when it comes to conducting the limbs and actually getting things done and actually bringing everything down into the Olam Gashmi V'Chumri, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya Perek, there's what that the Leiv is Kashar Kol Eivorim, Hu Chumri Kashar Kol Eivorim. As they say the Alter Rebbe dort in Perek as well. But the Rebbe said that's the mile of the heart, that the heart is, and the ultimate purpose of everything in the Chassidus is not just that it should remain a beautiful idea, but it should come down and be mashpia, l'matamata, bees into the oil, hachumi v'akashvi k'pshutei, and bees afila to the umas oilam, afila to the goyim and to the world in general. Like you were telling me the other night, the miftoim in America nowadays are not just miftoim looking for Yidden. Yeah, that's the main part of it, but there's also a tremendous, what you might call, side effect, which is not just a side effect, but hu atzmai, inyan, ikri, and that's answering what all the questions and dealing with all the goyim that ask the questions and come up and show interest and want to take part with chulu. And that's what we learned the other night in the Shir Klori we had in the Shir Klori, that the Rebbe's got a whole beer after the great simcha of having met his brothers, and after he already told them not to be unhappy and not to be worried, not to be upset about everything that happened, and he'd introduced a beautiful air of reunion and the whole thing, and all of a sudden he falls on Binyamin's neck and weeps, and Binyamin falls on his neck and weeps. And Rashi says a very unusual thing. Rashi says that he wept for the two Mikdoshes that were going to be in future. Yosef wept for the two Mikdoshes are going to be in Chelchish Benyamin, Yechrovu, and they're going to be destroyed. And Benyamin wept for the Mishkan Shile that was going to be in Yosef's area, would also be. And so I asked myself the question, all of a sudden this weeping in the middle of nowhere, where does that come? So Rashi connects it, but like a pshat, they were Maisa over Simon Labonim. They were weeping into the future of what of what's going to be. There's going to be but the Rebbe said, why would they fall on one of his necks? Kiss their heads or touch their heads or embrace them around their head or something like that, or just hold him close to. What's in you falling on the neck? So the Rebbe said that's where Rashi gets. One of the ways that Rashi gets to the whole idea of the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash was a neck. I think in fact the Rebbe did a whole. We put it down in the class that there's a whole amazing beer that based on what in Zois HaBrocha, the Beis HaMikdash was built on Kaviyach, on the neck of the shoulder or the neck of the shore, not the head of the shore. And the Rebbe said that was the Beis HaMikdash wasn't on the top of the mountain; it was part the way down the mountain on where the neck or the shoulder of the Harabayas. And the Rebbe said that the neck and the shoulder, they have the milah that they pass what's in your head into your body. That your neck, as Kamavu in the Kisvi Arizal, that everything has to go through the Meitzah HaGoren. That his bon and his Bermoyach come down into the heart, it has to go through the, what do you call the Meitzah, the straight of the throat. And therefore, the Rebbe's point is that the whole ultimate shleimus At the Beis Hamikdash, not that it's the cup. The whole inyan of the Beis Hamikdash is that it conducts the inyan of the cup into the body, and first of all into the heart, and through the heart into the whole body. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Through the heart into the whole body. That the Ike is really the Tavar, the Ike is really the neck, not the head. The head is, can stay, and therefore the Rebbe said, just imagine if they would have built the Beis Hamikdash on the top of the mountain, then Yidden would have gone saying, oh, there's a beautiful place up there, that's the base of, everybody said the Beis Hamikdash is something, that you go up to occasionally. It's Bereish Hahar. It's not shy to the whole Guf Klal Yisrael. And the whole Guf Klal Yisrael is after through the Tzavah. But the whole point of the neck is to reach the heart. Therefore the Melech is slave Kol Yisrael, the Rebbe says. The ultimate shleimus of the Melech is not that he's a cop, or the shleimus of the Melech is that he's the heart, because he brings everything down through that into the lowest part. He's shy to Gashmis and Chumias, just like, but the Rosh is shy Be'ika to Ruchnis in our even, which is separate, a model. And therefore, the Indian of a Emes king is, and Emes Melech and Emes Rebbe, Amiti, is that he's Leiv Kol Yisrael. He's after the Inyanim have come down from the head, and they're spreading out to the whole world. And therefore we see that Emes Rebbe, from the time of the Alter of his imprisonment, Yafuta Mayan Aselcha Chuta, the whole Inyan of our Rebbeim was, their Inyan was to reach the whole world and to spread around everything. And Lubavitch was always known, right from the beginning, to be a go-get type of Chassidus, that its Inyan was to conquer the whole world and to bring the messages of the Inyanim that the Rebbeim taught, not just to their people, but to the whole. And that's what people said about the Rebbe. Hu lo Rebbe shel Chabad, hu Rebbe shel Kol Olam Kulei. And that's the Inyan for Melech was a Leiv Kol Yisrael Davkim. And that's the Inyan that happened on Hey Teves. It happened on Hey Teves that not only Yidden realized that, and not only that Chassidim realized that, but the amazing thing is that Goyim were persuaded. And these people, these Goyim, represent the whole legal and, legalistic koyach of the Medina of Asia. Because America is a meteor scene of Asia. Other countries certainly have the power of Asia, and they're also mixed up with Asia. Probably nowadays there's almost no country that's not somehow Uber after the whole mess up took place. But the Indian that America is Asav, they're built Asav. Asav, America, the immediate Indian from Asav. What happened here was the final, ultimate birah of Asav prior to Mashiach. What the Rebbe said already years before Hey Teves. The Rebbe said that Asav was already Mizbar, he was already Mavurar, and it was the time to tell him the truth. And the whole problem was that since the time that they got the Medina going, they didn't tell Esav the truth. They spilled around with all the mices, and therefore to this day we have Torahs from it. But the Rebbe said that if they would tell Esav the Emes, and they would go to Yad Takifa and Yad Chazokah, that Esav is now Mavura. This whole inyan of the Mishpat that happened with the Sfarim was he had not only that Esav was ready to agree that there's such a thing as the Eibishter runs the world, and you have to decide on him according to Hashem's dictatives. Even more than that, Esav Paskin, that the representative of the Eibishter, Ba'ilam Kipshutei, is a Rebbe. And that there's a certain person that he's a Ish Klali, and he's a form of Melech, Al Kol HaKahal, and he is the Leiv Kol HaKahal. Everything in him is shy to everybody, and he can have a hashpur, miyadiyas, and latoiva on everybody, including them. It's a Nishnageya Ad kari kach. Yeah, but how do you come to that? Ashpur, yeah, I feel on the goyim, only through lahavdil ben Yisrael lamim. And that was what the Rebbe was, the one big defender of Miu Yehudi, Yeshem Mikol Sharia, and yeah, because Davki Ali Day that you mavdu Yidden, and he showed that there the emissary oil goyim, and then it's able to go out and reach also there. Then it's able to go down and reach and make its way through the Tavar, out into the other, into the lave, and then it reaches all the Evorim Mamish Kipshute. That's what the Goyish court paskin, that a person of that nature, a mensch, but he's the Bechir Hashem, and he's the Yankov Avinu Lo Made. From that generation, and he's the Yankov Avinu Amiti, as everything, as it were, that he belongs to him, doesn't really belong to him, it belongs to the whole cloud, and it's all Niklo, it's all Ainin that has to be under his control, but he's not really the owner. He's just like the emissary, controller and guider. What's written in those for him, that it should go out and reach the whole world, the ganze world. And therefore they pass him, and the amazing thing is it went through an appeal. It went through a very heavily and carefully prepared legal appeal. They turned it against it again, and the High Court, the Supreme Court, or whatever it was, the Higher Court, passed exactly the same thing, Bli Shinui. And the amazing thing is, like I mentioned the other night, it was a Loimim Min Zocher, it was an Ashwatzer. She was in charge of the legal tribunal, and she had paskin that there's such a thing as a Rebbe, and that he's the Neshama Klolis, and he's the Leiv Kol HaKahal, and all the rest of it is just Evorim. Everything else is just different veins and different little arteries. It's all part and comes back to that. And so it's literally that they paskin about themselves, that they're also like that. What it came out is, they paskin that they're meshubed to the directive of Torah in that part, that the Nasi, he is Metzadechon, Nasi als Merumam, being withdrawn, Nasi from Loshen Nasiya, he's also Leiv Kol HaKal, he's close to the whole Kal. That's what the Rebbe said there, Memches, that the Rebbe said it's the two extremities of an emissary Rebbe, that he's on the one hand, he's Merumam, Mamuto Mi'am, and he reaches everybody, he shites everybody, he shites every little artery and every little prat, every little, what do you call it, not arteries, a little when it's blood vessels or whatever they are. The kol echad v'echad. That was the unbelievable achievement of the Psatim, Beneged to the Sforim, was that they paskin that there is such a thing as a Rebbe, and that his ownership is the ownership of the whole Kahal, and that to a certain extent the whole world is under his hashpah through what he owns. But he doesn't really own it. He's just like the guide and the torchlighter of the whole thing. But its purpose to reach Kol HaBriyah. And that's an amazing thing. And that's like the last step before Esav will just come along and join up with Melech HaMashiach and become bottle and become his servant, and his, how do you call it, Ramkol, how do you call it, his, what do you call it, his trumpet. And he will just give out the psochim, how they are, Al-Pi Torah, and he will be just a willing media to get them out and to help Melech HaMashiach reach the whole world and all the peoples and all the inyanim. I remember somebody told me the other night a rather frightening report about the whole effect of the internet on society, and that it's going, and that crime and all sorts of terrible things are happening through the internet the whole time, and it's increasing. And that, it's in another couple of years, who knows where the world's going to end up. And that these cellular phones now are becoming like and I said it years ago, that they're going to control civilization, and it's happening. I say, they've even got to the point now where people can follow other people into their houses and see what they're doing through these telephones. It's like the famous, when I was in university, there was this guy who wrote a story called 1984. He thought by 1984 it was all going to happen. He called it The Big Brother. Yeah. Do you remember?
George
Yeah.
Orwell.
George
Yeah.
Orwell.
Huh?
The George Orwell wrote
It was George Orwell, was it?
Yeah.
Orwell.
Yeah, but there was also a fellow called Huxley. And he couldn't.
1984.
1984. And he said that there would be a koyach that would be able to, would be able to follow people into the big brother. That's what he called him.
Yeah.
I have $1 billion. So it doesn't matter. So that's what's happening nowadays with these telephones. That's what's happening. In another couple of years, the whole world's going to be under the slavery of telephones and computers. So he said to me, you know, it's a pretty gloomy picture. Oh, but it really is, because crime and things are just happening through the internet. There's all sorts of terrible things are happening. Is they steal through the internet, and they even murder. They even invite people to certain places and then they kill them, and all sorts of all sorts of terrible things happen. So what is this terrible? What is this terrible thing called? What's this terrible thing called the internet? What's it got any shackles to human? You know, why is it happening? Because Melech HaMashiach is going to need ways to reach the whole. Because the Rebbe's introduced the idea that Melech HaMashiach is not just going to talk to Yidden. I mean, that's going to be the Ikar. But he's going to talk to the whole world, Kipshute, which means that you're going to have people. I mean, I told the story that I once stopped in a street in Perth, in Australia. I went into the house, and the guy told us that he'd seen on the cable television. A guy told us that he'd seen on cable television the Rebbe, that the Rebbe spoke about Mashiach, and he was very impressed. And my wife and I were very impressed. And he turned to us and he said, "Do you guys also talk about Mashiach like the Rebbe does?" So I said to him, you know, Hashem should help us here. There's a guy way over in Perth, sitting in his lounge. So Mashiach is going to need that koyah. He's got to get into those lounges. He's got to. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. And the psak din of Teves was that Esav and the Supreme Court of Esav agreed with him. Yeah, there's an Neshama Klalius, and he doesn't belong to anybody, and nobody belongs to him, and yet he belongs everywhere, and he is everybody. That's what happened. That's Teves. We've got to realize that in our own lives it's the same way. Just Baruch Hashem that we have a shaykhs with the Rebbe, and everything you do in life to have a bit more kesher with the Rebbe is only good for you. It's only going to bring benefit, bein begashmis or bein baruchnias of a kol hinyonim. And therefore I think somebody told me, I didn't see the Beis Moshe this week, it was taken away from my habit. My daughter's got hold of it, but I'm told it's written there that way back many years ago in Toshin Yud Beis or something, the Rebbe said, on Teves, he said to Shmuel Levitin or something, that if people will go around and say over the sichos, that he said the sichos, not, he didn't say my sichos, but these sichos, if people will go around to the shores and they'll spread them to people, he said it'll be good for them, bein bekashas or bein baruchnes, ubechol inyanei. So what do you want more clearer than that? I mean, that's the inyan. And remember, the more we can just have a shaykhs with the Rebbe, and the more we can take him into our life, the more we can realize that he is the Leiv Kol Ha'am. That is the Melech, that is the message. Remember, the message of Mashiach, together with it, and they link together, and they become all one in it. Then Tev Bein Begashmias, Bein Baruchnias in the last minutes before Mashiach. Tev Hashem. I remember, with those on the Chaim Chever, we have to realize that Teves is a very, very rare and tremendous yontif. It's the yontif of the final bira of Esav, the last bira that could be necessary of Esav prior to Mashiach, that his courts and his makoimis hamishpat, which according to the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, they're supposed to be there. That dinim is one of their, that they were machris to the whole world. Yeah, that there's a Rebbe, and things belong to him, not like they belong to anybody. That is an amazing step, and that is the Inyan, and that's the Nakuda of Mashiach. So, Be'ez Hashem, should be a frail and yonter, and ability Sophie that all of us can, chaperein, and not only just buy a few Sforim. I encourage you to buy as many Sforim as you can, at a cheaper rate, of course. You have to make sure you get a heavy cat, but and they will help you that you look in the Sforim, and it's mamish, it's the magic medicine for everything.
Of Daphne, we're forgetting, and the Rebbe brings it this week to our Malchus. Also, others for him are still in captivity in Russia.
Yeah, that isn't happening. That's much okay. We're talking about the ones that are not in captivity. And the American court, forget about the ones that are still in captivity. The American court are asking that there's a Rebbe and that they don't belong to the Rebbe, they don't belong to anybody. They're like a chelik, when they're slowly. Does it keep passing the court?
Oh my God.
I'm not feeling well, but you have to excuse me. You have to excuse me. I'm not feeling that well.
He's not feeling well.
Oh, yeah.
But
Hashem should help you. You should be gesund, Mr. Ma.
you should go from strength
Thank you so much for coming.
and you go from strength to strength.
Thank you very much for coming.
Mashiach now.
And Hashem should give you a lot of gesund.
Amen.
And one of the reasons that you still continue being gesund, Michael Achov, is you come to Otmim regularly. That gives you a lot of that gives you tremendous courage into your gesund. And he does Messiah. And those are the secrets of your continued gesund lechatchila riva.
Amen. Don't worry. Huh? I'll be back. Amen.
Jonathan, bring the popcorn.
I brought him here. How is he going to get home? I really feel very bad because I'm supposed to be doing his next album, and I'm putting it off and putting off. And
No, you shouldn't do it.
What?
Don't put it off. You must get onto it as soon as possible.
What?
Get onto it as soon as possible. Really, honestly. Don't. Really. No, yeah.
It's almost 2 years ago we started it, and I haven't been putting it off.
Nothing do it. Nothing do it.
10 years ago. After what happened on September 11th, attacking the Twin Towers. Somebody told me attack from Jonathan, the person Pollock. He said, לפני שיבוא משיח יחל הכרך הגדול שבאדום. אדום is America, like you said. Far below of New York. That's what happened. The Twin Towers were destroyed. Like you don't have nachos from the kind von Heinikler, von der Talmide, nachos von der Woman,
Amen, amen.
aber Woman noch nachos von sich.
This is Rabbi.
Yes.
No? Everyone. About a month ago. You learned?
Guess it's going to see.
I don't know.
Chaim.
Good idea.
Amen.
Say that.
Moshe, we haven't seen you about a sure, isn't it? What's been happening?
I'm working in Chutz La'aretz.
Are you working back in Chutz La'aretz?
I've told you many times to tell you.
In Czechia?
Where are you going now?
I was going to watch.
Pass me a piece of bread. What happened to your sister? Where is your sister?
So, we find here another very fascinating Indian benefit to Teves, and that is that once the Rebbe realized that Sfarim were being taken and they were being stolen from the library, early in the piece when they began to consider what should be the approach as to how to correct the whole matter, it became clear that the Rebbe was the opinion that the only way to do it in the most effective way was to go to the Goyshe Beis HaMishpat. And it's well known that there were certain people that offered the Rebbe ideas that if he were to offer them money to this guy and his followers, that maybe they would, they'd give the Sfarim back. But it would be big sums of money come over. And, there were others who had other ideas, but the Rebbe didn't. He accepted the idea of maybe paying money with the most terrible, sharp statements. The Rebbe that was clear that he would never agree to that, and he said that to buy the Sfarim back for money was a get of Avodah Zarah and all sorts of. The Rebbe was very, very against the idea, and it became clear at a pretty early date that the only way the Rebbe would agree would be to approach the Goyshe courts. Now, that is not a simple thing to understand when you think about it. So, once we could say that it was purely a technical thing in a way, that if, let's say that it had gone to the Beis Din, first of all, it was not possible to know what Rabbanim would paskin, because there's such a thing as Din Yerusha by Yidden also. That he called inheritance is a very strict din by Yidden as well. So he would have timed that he's a Yerush, and who knows what might have come on. Secondly, is let's say the Beis Din had paskin that he had to give back. Who says that he would? There's no certainty, no clarity that he would give back, because nowadays ain't Yad Beis Din Tkifa. So we could say that the Rebbe wanted that it should be done in the most effective way from the point of view of koyach, what you might call Beis Din and koyach ha'chpur on this guy, that he should, in other words, those who were with him, that they should bring the Sfarim back and it should all come back. However, if we look in a sikha that the Rebbe's got about Hey Teves from the year Toshin Nun, where the Rebbe talks about Hagoshes Yehuda, but Derech Hagav, the Hoyantra Hey Teves occurs most years. It occurs in Parsha Vayigash. But it occurs either at the beginning or the end or in the middle, or it's Shabbos or whatever. it can fall out Shabbos, as we saw this year. Teves is always in and around Parsha Vayigash. So the Rebbe's got a whole amazing seek over there. If we take Yehuda before Yosef revealed himself, then Yehuda was in a situation where Yosef had brought them to their knees. I mean, they were mamish in a very terrible situation. They'd been brought back like criminals, and they'd been cornered, as having done them, reacted in the most terrible, unthinking way. They gave me all the, what you might call the good things that Yosef had shown them, Adkan. And Yosef was the Adonai Ha'oretz. He was the balabas of the whole country, and he had power. So Emes Yehuda, Rashi brings one shot that Yehuda was with his tremendous gevura. Yehuda could maybe match the gevura of the mustard gevura that Yosef would be able to get again. It's not clear, 100% that he would be. But there could have been a tremendous war between Yehuda and the powers of Israel. But nonetheless, the Rebbe says basically is that Yehuda approached Yosef with a tremendous figure. In other words, it was amnam a derech eretz. It was done very, properly. It was done with all the nemusi hamalchus, with all the ways of giving derech eretz to a sovereign or to representative of a sovereign. Adonai ha'oretz. That's what he was called. He was called the balabas of the whole eretz at that time. And yet, nonetheless, we see that Yehuda, he went with a teikim, and he gave Yosef to understand that this is not just a little sort of persuasive, knee bowing bakosha in front of the Adonai Ha'oretz. So it's a dover mole teikif, mole a background of how you might call gevura amitius. So this is the important point. The Rebbe said that shows that Yehuda, even though he was in Tachlis Atachton of the Golas at that particular moment, he was in Golas by Yosef. Nonetheless, he wanted to achieve something by Yosef. He saw that the emes way to do so was to approach Yosef and to talk, and he called Dvarim HaYosef Min HaLev, over with a starkheit that left no doubt that what he saw to be the result of his bakosha, and what he wanted to be the result of the bakosha, was clear, and he didn't mince any words or hide any score with Yosef. The Rebbe draws out from that tremendous thing, also going to get to Teves. And the Rebbe said that teaches us that even though we're in Golas, even though there's dinner, the Malchus dinner, and there's all the yonim that you have to give derech eretz to the Adonai Oretz and the whole thing, but nonetheless you didn't have to be, even for Jacob, and they have to go with the mole hidden inside. Whatever they say has got to be a clear warning to the goyim that we're not going to take no for an answer, and ochem vei. If there'll be no answer, it's not going to be good for you, and it's not going to be good for the country. That's the way it has to be. We see that that's what we could say why the Rebbe insisted so profoundly that it has to go to the mamish, to the courts of the country, to the central hub of the whole koyach of Esav in Medina's America, that the Rebbe was positive that that's the only way. Because we're talking here, like we said before, about an Inyan Klori V'atzmi. We're talking about an Inyan which is Reish B'nai Yisrael. We're talking here about a Rebbe, about his yachas to not only to Yidden, but to the whole world that we mentioned before. He's like the Beis Hamikdash. He's like the neck that's savar of the whole world, not just the head, but the way that he goes down into the world and reaches the world. Well, you got to go. I tell you, if you can't just play around and bow down on your knees to Esau, but you have to hide it inside all the derech eretz is going to be just a panemius, what you might call outer kli for the panemius, which is going to be b'kol ha'teikah, b'kol leaving Esau without any doubt as to what's going to be the result. Well, that's what we see from Hagoshes Yehuda leYosef. So, later what happened was that Yosef lo yochel Yosef l'sapik, and after that it's more like a in this particular case. But the whole sikha is based on what Yehuda thought before the whole snap, like you might call it, in Yosef's ability to keep the whole game going. He couldn't keep it going any further. Yosef lo yochel Yosef l'sapik. And therefore there was the tremendous moment of reunion. Of what Yehuda thought when he went to Yosef was not like that at all. Yehuda Tucker thought, this is a case of life and, it's life and death. Beneget to Binyamin or Beneget to Ali and Yonim. And yet, nonetheless, we see that he went with a Teves, but, listen, I'm not coming to you because I'm going to take no for an answer. That's the way we've got to go with the whole world now. And that's how each individual has got to approach his inyanim b'chaim also, will have any sort of kesher with the function of how the oilam can mean hogei noyeg, and you think that there's some koyak that represents the koyak oilam, then you got to go with a teikev, and a Yiddish teikev, and you have to demand with a teikev, and that's what the world has reached the point. When Esau hears you talk, and you put them inside a kli, which is the panemi is a kli of teikev. This is your benefit. This is what is mine. And often, if you don't agree, if that's the oifen, the bakosha, so you get what you want, and you get a boy a key toy, and that whole Indian that Yosef, that's a different Indian mitzad echad. But mitzad hasheni, the pashta Yosef gave in. I mean, even though it's ein ladamish la'Esau kipshute, nonetheless, it's a given azoi. We see from that we're living in a very amazing tkufa. We're living in a tkufa where everything it's a different world nowadays. You can mamish talk tough with Esau, and you can get tough with him, and you can at the same time remain his best friend. And that's the secret that's hidden, and that's the heroa, the kol haTorahs that's there in Vayigash Elov Yehuda. And the Rebbe even stresses in that particular sikha that Elov is a certain Maimonic considers, but they learn that Vayigash Elov Yehuda, that's hinting at the famous Ifri. Elov Eloi midei sov. To the Avish, the direct, when you pray after Elov, means directly that the whole, like the Rebbe brings in some of both. We mentioned it in the Shir Kloah the other night. The inner of Yehuda and Yosef is Smichas Geula. It's very, very tifa in Elakus and in Vedas Hashem. So the Rebbe said, that the whole Shareh Shemayim Apsuchim Alidei Yehuda Boivacher. That it's possible, Kaviyachal, to approach the Eibishter with a bakosha, and you can say, like your father sings the song, Eibishter, and you can listen here, please forgive me, I don't mean anything chas v'sholem, I'm not being disrespectful, I'm not taking no for an answer, I mean business here, and we gotta have our bakosha, and that's the whole nakuda of Smichas Geula Latfila, Alidei, that Yehuda approached Yosef. Yosef gave him koiches, and that revealed the emes of power and the emes malchus of Yehuda. And that's the union from Smichas Geula Latfila. It should be the other way. It should be Smichas Tfila Geula. Yehuda went to Yosef. Well, he got powers from Yosef that swung the whole thing the other way, and that's Haftarah. The Haftarah is that Yehuda is Ramayla Yosef. That's an akudah. That's what we've got to learn out, each and every one of us, and his private inyonim. We've got to realize that it's a different kufa. Nowadays, we have the right to go with a certain takeoff. And that's what the Rebbe says. At most, the Rebbe used the expression, "Bekam his manim, bekam his damnias." The Rebbe said it's enough. The Rebbe said, "Kaviyochel, elo v'loilame, edeisa v'yigosh elo." That the Eibishter, the Rebbe said to the Eibishter, "Bekam his manim." It's enough. All the generations in Golas, all the things that Kaviyochel Hashem wanted to achieve, have been achieved. It's, what are we waiting for? It's enough. That's a toikif. But generations ago, you couldn't possibly persuade whoever it was to talk that way. It would be considered even improper, to talk that way. Over here, it's through the dogma of Vayigash and Beklaud, the whole union of Hey Teves, we see that's right. And that's why they wanted the Goyish courts. He wanted to go get some hub of Ace. It's like as if they were talking directly to the president. And because these people represent the koyach. That's the whole koyach of the United States, the whole legal and legalistic and the technical koyach of the ganze country is in the courts. Through that, so that's where we find ourselves nowadays. Nowadays, the whole approach has got to be with a new simcha, with a new taker, and that's why you have the right nowadays to talk to people openly and with a taker, and you can demand people that they do things. Once upon a time, it wasn't quite the nusach to approach the world in that way. Now it's not only it's a nusach, it's the way. Das is the derech. When you talk about Moshiach, Dov was the term. He was in Grand Central Station. Dov mentioned him. He told me that if you just present yourself in the proper way, people come over, and if you just answer them and talk to them openly, they want to hear and they're interested, and it's indicative of what's going on all over the world. If people want to sort of have, why can't I be part of this? Can I also do this? There's thousands and thousands of people throughout the world are asking this type of question. Am I in it also? I would like to be part of this. I would like to be in it. All because the Rebbe told people that you got to go with a taker. You got to speak with a certain meaningfulness. It's got a certain sharp but chesed, touch to it. And therefore, the Chanukias in the whole world, that's to stir up I'm certain that millions of goyim throughout the world that see these big Chanukias, all over the people getting lifted up on cranes to light them. It stirs up in his mind also. Is he part of the? What does he have some sort of kesher with? How could he be part of this as well? This looks really something, And that's what gradually, it's not just gradually, but in huge steps, it's reaching all over the world. I mean, that mice I told you, Perth, I'm going back about 3 or 4 years ago. That happened to me about 3 or 4 years ago. And nowadays, you can, all over the world, doesn't matter where you are, you can touch this vibe of what you call, how do you call it, Ishtadfut. That's taking partners. That's in participation on a part of the whole world, because that's what Hey Teves represent. That's the final and last ultimate bira. That's it. That comes down in Avodas Hashem. Your davening's got to be different. Your way of learning, your way of approaching people. It's also got to be, even in our private inyanim and things at home and everything, we've got to know that there's a new Siyata D'Shmaya. Chas v'shalom, you don't have to go hard, but you have to go clear and confident and good. In other words, it's got to be a inif and tachlis ha'toiv. Toiv, but toiv yoser. Not just, I achieved something today, tomorrow I got to achieve better. I got to do it better and higher if I can tomorrow. And if I can, is not always a justifiable question. The bilti sofi that you can if you just want. If you really want. And that's the Rebbe's chayes, or that's the brim that the Rebbe's brought into our world. It's a whole new, it's I can't say nothing. It's something that's never been in history before. As I got. There's no busy anymore with negativity, with ra and with things like that. Forget it. Only just, and that's what Hanukkah was. Hanukkah was just pouring a lot of light all over the place. Where B'shus HaRabim. And where does that come from? It's Teves, yeah. The Poskim should be Piyam Anu Chaim, generations ago, way back. They said that you have to light the Hanukkah, Davki B'shus HaRabim. Even when Rashi has this, Teves said, no, you got to put it Davki B'shus HaRabim. And that was the whole Indian. The Shem and Torah of Torah is to get out there. It's not to be in your house. And the Ramah said he only put it in your house because of the sakona. Mipnei sakona maniche al shulchan. Al shulchan. When it's nicht mipnei sakona, the whole thing is to reach the outside. And that's Hanukkah. And Hey Teves is immediately a hemshech. Yeah, it's a Hanukkah. Hashem should help us. Mamish, we got to break. Every moment is a chaval al hazman. Every moment is a wasted time that Mashiach didn't come. I can see it's just so. It's just so much there in the air. We have to. Vayigash Shalov Yehuda, each one in his own life, and that will bring a shtapkes. Lo yochel Yosef Lishape, it'll just bring all sorts of good inyanim. Each one begash misabroknes. In the last minute before Mashiach, and then take me out the gash misabroknes won't be a problem. It won't be the problem because we esik kolo elam kuloi ela lo das bayim. As they bring to Rambam. That's the last. That's different than what's written in Ochos Tshuva. Come over and the Sichas. L'chaim.
Why is the United States more Esav than? Why is the United States more Esav than Europe?
Jews.
Why is the United States more Esav than Europe is? I would think it was the other way around.
Well, I'm not so sure. A lot of the great Rabbanim in recent generations have written that America is Esav, and the whole founding of the American continent was from Europe. The whole founding of the American continent was from Europe.
Amalek.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I wouldn't put
Germany and France.
France. Germany more particularly. They are the Amalek.
That's for sure. I was there for a whole summer.
America.
They don't like Jews in America either.
No. But it's different.
Yeah, but they're afraid to do anything about it because they're just afraid because that's the way it is. Yeah. Otherwise, if they weren't, it would be trouble.
But the Germans weren't afraid. So it gab es kach abatful.
There are places in
Be well. And keep up the good work. I'll see them on, baby.
There are places in the United States, in Chicago. There is Amalek over there. Nazis.
Terrible. In Sydney also, in Australia. Even in Perth.
Really?
In Australia, They're creeping all over the place. Fine.
The brothers of Yosef, they did tshuva. The brothers of Yosef, they did tshuva. They take me instead of Binyamin. So why afterwards with the Harbi Malchus? Why did they have the tikkun of it was already Tukkan? They did tshuva.
It's a very good question to ask. And it's not just you that asked the question, but many of the great authorities, and many of the great Meforshim, Misasik, in the problem. The Behektim, that we don't find anywhere, even though Yosef said that everything they did was really hashkof, but is to bring plate to Gedela. He said therefore they shouldn't be he's going to look after them and he's going to feed them. And it's even brought down in the Zohar Kodesh, mentioned at the end of Perek Yud Beis in Tanya, that you should learn how to conduct yourself with somebody who's insulted you or hurt you. K'moishe Yosef Noeg Me'echo. The Alter brings it right at the end of Perek Yud Beis. However, with all of those inyanim, you study very carefully last week's Pasha and this week's Pasha, and even the coming Pasha, Pasha V'Yechid, you don't find anywhere that Yosef actually said, look you guys, I'm moichel you. He said, look, I'll look after you. He said twice in this week's Pasha, twice. He says that there's a very special inyan here, which needs a lot of biur, and there's a lot of been written about it in Sfarim, but because the Hashgacha Pratis brought everything Latoiva at the end, that's clear that the whole thing didn't really happen the way it did. But it did. Unfortunately, it did, you follow? So therefore, some say that what Yosef was doing was showing that he's not holding any grudge for Negei Lapoyo, and Benegir to looking after them, everything's going to be done. And that we see that there's a certain meaning of Hashgacha Pratis, which Legabi them immediately will take away any possibility of immediate punishment. But I can't forgive you guys. The Mechila we don't find. We don't find anywhere that he actually was Moich. So it's written in certain great Sfarim that that's what brought the Asara Hurugima. The Rachmanin Islam, the fact that Yosef wasn't Moichel, and that there was still, the Kapeda was still there in the ear, that's what caused the Asara Hurugima. Therefore some people, because it's such a wow. Shalom Aleichem. Matthias, how did you get here?
On my way.
You guys realize who this is?
When was he here last?
Hey, Ben-Zion, what did you do to get him here? Matthias, did you get an email from somebody, or what happened to you?
I called your Robinson.
Oh.
And, see how you're doing. And, and she told me you're here for bringing us up. I'm on the way.
Wow, what is that? You came all the way from Yerushalayim?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Teves.
Sit down. I think somebody left here, so you got a place. Are you all sitting there? Oh. I'll pull over this chair here. Ben-Zion, can you give Matt a bit of gashmias? Can't you give him something? Wow. Wow. So you called up home?
Yeah, I called and spoke to your wife. She said, for bringing events, I'm going. What am I going to do?
Oh, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. אתם הייתם ביוצא כלב, נכון? יופי. אז so Shmuel, so these greats for him saying that Einochanam Yosef took away the etzem kapeda that might have led to an immediate punishment, and he wanted for this. And that's why when Yaakov Avinu passed away, they got scared. Like next week's verse, it's written that now it's going to happen, and even then, Jesus said to them, no. As far as I'm concerned, everything's going to continue as usual. But some people say that he never actually clearly, openly used the word machila. He never actually said that he's machil. So some of the great Sforim look for biurim. Why didn't Yosef be'emes? Why wasn't he machil them? And so they want to say that he was such a high neshama, he was such a begetter of Amalek, that a Melech Shemeichel it's not really shaykh machila. But I can't really at this moment give us a hezbollah pnimi v'seifi. I think the river that someone Tzaddik mentions this somewhere, but a long beer in Chassidus for sure is not there about why he wasn't moicha. Oh, the river that someone Tzaddik brings down in a place that loy matzona shemocha. He didn't actually. So therefore, some people learn from a whole big amazing thing, and they want to say that it's two different things: to be mitpayes with somebody, but to be moicha him is another thing. And therefore, you must always be tremendously careful after there's been some, how do you call it, negative or pagia or whatever, that you must always be moichel. And that's why, when you get chas v'shorim, when you get shidduchim, it's always tremendously important. You have to be moichel. You have to be careful to be moichel. Because if you're not moichel, then there can remain a certain, And that's why in the Geras HaTshuva, the Alter Rebbe says that the Ike of Tshuva is to cause the mechila, but the Teves is moichel. You look carefully there, and then after he's moichel, you cause re-establishment of the whole relationship, and that's the whole 2 or 3 prophim what he writes about fast, about the infant tiniest, because the Indian of the tiniest, that's like a complete return to how it was before. But first of all, you got to have machila. That's got to be the etzem kilo. Machila achieves that the whole thing is not there anymore. You follow? Machila says that as far as we're concerned, that's what he says there. Lo yaskiru, lo dover, lo chotzi dover, lo ilam abod. They also have in Perek Beis, right at the beginning. Perek Beis. That's machila. So for some reason, what's a bilti yadulana, a bilti moving on a cloud, the Yosef didn't do that. He didn't actually say, listen.
What do you do with the Eibush? The Eibush also didn't get a machila.
Huh?
The Eibush also didn't get a machila.
The Eibush didn't get machila.
He was part of the pact. I mean, they were swore. So there was Yosef wasn't Moichel Eibush.
Good.
That's Russia. You can't ask a question about that.
Al Chaponim lo matzinu inyan zeh. They want to say that mishum kach, they're small. They want to say that mishum kach, generations later, it was still in the air. And the Yisora Haruli Machas, it's also a door absolutely built-in moving cloud. Lamas the air. I mean, we're talking here about Neshomas Klolias Lakola Deras Kulo. Nashim, Ein Lano Shum Tiyu, but Greater Ha'erek Shalhem. It's a, and so the other way that we can be masber, I mean, that's just like a beer, but it's not a hezbollah. It's a statement of policy without a hezbollah. And the other way we can possibly be masber is what the Alter brings very kofei, that even after you've been matakin on a certain higher level, particularly, if you're it's put down as the Alter Rebbe said in Perek Lamed, that if you're a ish mile, then anything you did has got more ability to be poigim than stammer meant. Since they were Anshe Meile, Gedolim, is Ein Hanami on one level with Yosef himself and with everything, they finished. Yeah, on a high level, and Meile, the Alter Rebbe, you look over there, it's mashma that he means that's Ad Reim Hamaylas. In other words, it keeps going from level to level. That if you were poigim in a certain area, then miyadeh, what's waiting further and further and further, still needs to be matakim. You follow? The shaila is why Davkid the Asara Hurudi Malchus? Why have to go through there? This is from the Inyanim Bilti Yaduim Lana Cloud, Bilti Muvonim Lana Cloud. It's therefore you should know there's a famous Kabbalah work which is called Pirchei de Rabbi Shmuel. I think it's called Pirchei de Rabbi Shmuel. And Dort state a whole Inyan that Rabbi Akiva and several of the when I say several, I'm not sure how many of them, didn't actually die. They didn't actually, according to his shitta, they didn't actually get killed by the Romans, and that Rabbi Akiva, the actual Moshel of the Romans himself, he was changed from heaven with Rabbi Akiva, and really he was the one that was killed, and that Rabbi Akiva took over the Malchus of that particular time, and he wiped out all the members of this guy's party, or whoever they were. He had them all executed, and all amazing matter. Yeah, I put it once down in a shukla. What am I saying? The whole shitta that Rabbi Akiva did, it was only an Achizas Einayim. Or really Rabbi Akiva, as they state, very kadman dika sefer. Now, some people they say should be able to give stories. It's given to to discussion. Well, but as I state, and it's printed, you can get it. I have it at home. The Pirchei de Rabbi Shmuel. Yeah, Dort state, pink to say. I think it's written about not about Rabbi Hanina ben Tradio, but one or two of the others also a similar thing, that they weren't really killed by the Romans. It was only Einayim cut. It was an Achizas Einayim, it didn't really happen. And their time is time is Mihai time. They time that everything was matukan. We have to say that it didn't really happen. It's a very big field of discussion, what you just asked. You follow? Well, suffice to say that the Rebbe was Mikhail, that all these inyanim, whatever they may be, have all completed. You follow? And we're now in Azar Doya, an Azar moment in history where the whole thing is like Kabil Panei Mashiach. It's a new Indian altogether. It's like a new stage in the whole history or the whole development of Gil Elikus or Ilamas. You follow? Up to now, the Indian for Gil Elikus has been B'derech Helam with the Choma, V'chulu. Now the whole Indian is only just, he's got B'derech Kabbalas Panei Mashiach Tzidkenu Kol Echad V'echad V'chayo Omer Kol HaTzibur B'yachad. And the Rebbe said about the Shluchim, the Kol Inyonim is only to be Megala, the Indian from, it's a new Indian altogether. All these things have all been mushed, they've all been completed. Therefore, in that Sikha that I told you, the Rebbe learns from Hagoshes Yehuda Le'yeser that the whole thing is, not so much, to be a Mechira, the whole thing was that there was a new take of Yehuda going to the Adonai Ha'oretz, and he was being Megala, a whole new way for Na'aveda, for all the Deras Haboim, that the way was a taker, and that's the way you could get everything out of Adonai Ha'oretz. No, it's a new idea altogether. It's got nothing to do with the washing away of a shlila. Have you got that there? It's a very amazing. I mean, none of us are masik. We have no way of being. Well, I mean, we do. We have a way, but it's very difficult to be masik. The way the Rebbe's changed the whole picture of history, the whole development of events from now on until Bias Mashiach is, according to the Rebbe, a completely different situation than it was in generations gone by, even 100 years ago, even less than 100 years, even less than 20 years ago. It's a whole different picture, legamri. And that's what we've got to tune into. If I've got to tune into. So, the question why Yosef wasn't Meichel, we don't find. We don't find it. But that's the Nakuda. And that's part of the whole message of Hey Teves. Hey Teves is that even Esau admits that there's a Rebbe and that everything belongs to the Rebbe and it doesn't belong to him just as a personal ownership, but it belongs in a way that he's just a vehicle for giving it forward to the whole world. This is a nutshell. That's the ganze thing. If I'm that's I can answer you where I get there. Praise Hashem. Aber benegir la poyo, the altar in poyo mamish, the altar says at the end of very good base that you got to learn from Yosef Echov. No matter what somebody's done to you, on the contrary, you have to see it in only a positive way, and you have to act with him with complete love and as if everything's fine. As far as you're concerned, shum davar lo kara. זה נקודה העצמיס והפנימיס של כל העניין. אבל אומר, כל אחד ואחד בחיו, we got to try and be in a different frame of mind. It's a change in the etzem kivun avona from the whole of Yadas. And I think Yesh Lema, there's a lot of people are beginning to outside Lubavitch are beginning to be aware that they were a little bit on the wrong donkey up to now. Now they've got to switch and retune in their whole way of understanding. And I just had, during my visit to America, I had a certain schmecktabik of that. I had a certain feedback in that direction. And sorry, just tonight, it's very, very amazing. I had to go and pick up something for a minute from somebody, Zave from Kiryas. He sent something for me. I had to go to a guy and pick it up. Now this guy, he's a descendant from some of the Polish Rebbe's. He's quite a big miyuchet, And I met him very, very briefly when I was in America, just for a minute. I just shook his hand, that was it. And I went to this place and I asked which room he was and everything. I went and I knocked on the door. Took several minutes. I thought he wasn't there. I was almost about to leave. All of a sudden he opens the door and his face lit up. And he said, "Oh, Shalom Aleichem, Rav." And he gave me his hand. He shook my hand and he says, "No, what do you say? What's up to you?" Now, once upon a time, that wouldn't have been. From the type of social group that he belongs to, if you go back about 30 years, I don't think it would have been quite that way. Nowadays it is. It's different. Because they know that if you want to emphasize a positive note, adasov, it doesn't get confused in the middle, and you got to go to about it. And if you don't mind me saying, you got to go to the Mishkestim. Because they are the ones who mean it adasov. It doesn't sort of get lost in the middle somewhere. That we don't quite follow, it doesn't get lost in the middle, but it goes adasov. And that's why, when he was here, he told him with the kippah and everything. That's why it goes. He plus his kippah, what he represents, is makul by thousands of people. But maybe 20 years ago, I don't know how he would have got on. But now, it does. Because it's seeping in, It's seeping in. And they don't mind meeting a Mishachist. On the contrary, they like it because they know that here at least there's something that's bringing this change, which is so positive and so unusual to its finality and to its confident finality. And that's what it boils down to. Okay, guys. Chaim, matches. Okay. Brian, how are you? Looking well?
Thank you. This so great going
Yeah, no. That's good. That's good. Ja, und da kannst du even eine Meile lieben, Herr Seier, in Kabbalah zu beginnen. Weiter. Daniel.